United, together here we stand. Savannah and feel it, pay your workplace wellness, our band.
Where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold.
Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage, and elevate your game.
Wellness that works puts growth.
In the frame,
Mental clarity, physical strength,
clinician inside.
tools and strategies that get it right. Real stories, real growth, real change that lasts.
Practical guidance that moves you fast.
Workplace wellness hour brings substance and spark. Together we flourish.
Together we make your mark. Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage, and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame. So mark your calendar, answer the call.
Workplace wellness, practical magic for all.
Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage, and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth in the frame.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Workplace Wellness Hour. It is Monday, May 25th, 2026, and I am Felipe Cofino here with my amazing co-host, Sumana Jetty.
Hello.
How's your weekend been so far?
Oh, it's been so good. I had such a good weekend. It's like finally sunny and warm and a good hike, a dinner, like a couple dinners. I feel like busy. Oh, why is it echoing?
Oh, so that was actually my bad.
Oh,
But I'm glad that you've had a nice sunny weekend. I will say that here on the East Coast of the United States, it has been a rainy weekend. And it kind of sucked because it was also Memorial Day weekend, which is a long weekend for us. Today is a holiday. And most people usually go to the beach or by water and lakes, and it just rained almost the entire weekend.
no.
But the bright side was that yesterday afternoon it didn't rain during the celebration of my mother's 94th birthday. Any of you that live listening, you've heard me talk about my mother a lot, and she's still with us, live and kicking and using her Apple AirPods, her iPhone, her Apple Watch, and writing her life story. So had some fun celebrating her yesterday, and we had a lot of family come by, so it was nice. But today we're talking about AI and the human connection. And honestly, being with friends and family is the epitome of that human connection, but it extends also in the workplace. And I know that a lot of you, we talk about that and how much you value it, but AI can hinder it a little bit. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today. I do want to say hello to everyone who's already joined us in the chat. This has been a great, there's so many people in here, Simona. It's amazing. So thank you for joining us. It's great to see Christy Williams. And then we have Charles Coleman. Thank you for watching all the way from Hong Kong. Aaron Titsworth, a new friend, an HR friend I've met recently. It's great to see you. Chris Pinadella. I've not seen you in a while. It's been a hot minute, my friend. How are you? And it's always great to see Gregory Liverpool, another HR friend here from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. And then we have Leslie Flowers. Yes, I hope you've had less rain than I had, Leslie, but I think North Carolina got hit with a lot of rain as well. And Jenny Gold's in the house. Oh, Jenny, it's so nice to see you as well. Thank you for joining us from Denver. And Kenny, always appreciate all your support and how much you just share all the lives that are going on so that people can join, as well as your person right next to you, Meryl Cass, who is the master communicator and just connector out there. We talk about human connection, and Meryl really does do a lot to make sure that he connects with people. And LinkedIn user, I don't know who you are, but maybe we can find out, who says hi. And then we also have, let's see who else, Nicole. Oh, happy Memorial Day, Nicole. Hope you're doing well. Let me know what you think. I did just send Nicole the second book of Backyard Adventures, the one that's titled Brady and Lucky the One-Eyed Cat. If I may shamelessly plug Miranda and Max, which was the first book that she published for us. And if you are looking for a good publisher, Guiding Brilliant Writers is a great publishing company led by Nicole and Guy, who published this wonderful book, available for purchase. It also comes with a free video, if you a QR code that's in the book, and a free coloring book, which will also be with the other one as well. But outside of that, let's do some quick introductions. And actually, let me make sure I didn't miss anybody else here in the chat, though, real quick. Let's see here. Is there anybody else? I think I got everyone. Christy Williams. Oh, Linaire Johnson. Thank you for watching from New Zealand. Oh, my God. We have a big... And Jay, you got to let me know if you saw The Mandalorian yet. I have not seen it yet. I'm curious if you have. I've heard great reviews about the movie. And then Corinne. So thank you all for joining us. Keep on sharing the room with your network. Let them know that we are going on live so that they can join the conversation about AI and the human connection. We are going to put the link in the chat. But before we do that and talk about the topic, I'm going to hand over to Samana to do some introductions and tell her initial thoughts about this topic.
Oh, yes. Okay, there's still that. Okay, it's gone. Happy to be here. I honestly, I can't believe how many people log in the very second the video plays. So thank you so much, folks. It's so nice to see everybody on Monday, May 25th. Join us. It's our 93rd episode. I've been looking at Felipe's description, and we're inching closer and closer to the 100th. The last two episodes we had our special guests, so it's kind of nice to be back here with Felipe and talk about this topic. My name is Sumana Jetty. I'm coming to you from Calgary, Alberta. I have a company called Jetty Wellness. We're in our 5th year, which I find it's so crazy. I honestly don't know where the time has gone, but I love research and science and translating some of that evidence-based research and models towards workplace well-being, working with leaders, working with teams, mostly working with businesses, not as much B2C as much as the B2B work that we do. So yeah, just really happy to be here. But maybe before I talk about the topic, I think I'm not coming from it from a hiring perspective, because I'm not that person. Felipe is. When I discovered this conversation, I think where I am going to settle in after Felipe's introduction is going to be more on the workplace well-being leadership lens. I think I want to add a piece of maybe explain a couple of theories that are not all that unfamiliar. I'm sure you may have heard of it through Workplace Wellness Hour. And then some concepts that we've discussed before, but I think are very relatable to this conversation. So I'm just going to pull some things. Repetition and reinforcement is so important in a lot of the work that I do and what I teach. So don't be upset if I'm sharing something that you may have heard before, but maybe you haven't. So that's where my mind is. But before I do that, let's have Felipe introduce himself, and then we'll go from there.
Well, thank you, Samana, and I love the perspective that you're taking on this. I think it's so valuable. And I'm going to talk it from the workplace angle, but also from a general wellness angle, because that's, I think, the overall umbrella that Samana and I always cross over, and there's always that Venn diagram, if you will, where wellness is always a commonality that we're always striving for. And so for me, for those of you who have not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Felipe Cofino. I've been an HR executive for over 25 years. I'm founder of Covino Consulting, that is available on LinkedIn, my homepage there, but also my as I call him, my second son, who was our foster son that we became legal guardians. We never fully adopted, but he's our second son. He is currently using his talents to help me with the website for Covino Consulting. And I bring that up specifically because I try to do it myself. And it's good to know what strengths you have and which ones you don't. Web design, I thought I can do this. And there was an AI feature. I tried to use the AI feature. And the one thing that kept on coming to me was it's just lacking that human feel. I didn't know what it was. So when he looked at it, he goes, "Can I do some work on this?" I'm like, "Absolutely." He goes, "Can I scratch everything you did and start over?" I'm like, "Absolutely." So I just want to encourage people, just because AI can do it for you doesn't mean it's the best version. I also am an author of the Backyard Adventures I mentioned earlier, and I'm on LinkedIn Top Voice. Now, I do house all the videos that we do here on LinkedIn for Workplace Wellness Hour with Sumana. I also do Careers, Chaos, and Coaching with Melissa Houston. And I do the Social Saturday Chat with Mac Laubscher and team. All those you can find on my YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed to it, I would love for you to subscribe to it, because not only do I post all the videos that we do here and all the podcasts, I also have all the shorts that we've been getting from Substack, because we are live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Substack. And so the Substack, what that does for us is it actually gives us clips of the best parts of the show that AI does for us. And some of them are great, and I post them, and others I'm like, that was okay. I'm not going to use it. So feel free to subscribe to my channel. I'd appreciate it if you did. And you also can find some funny cooking videos in there as well. All right. With that being said, let's get into the show topic here. Like I said, we are going to go ahead and put the link to join us up here shortly. I do want to welcome William Rochelle. Good to see you, buddy, Bill. It's always wonderful to see you. Also want to say hello to Jackie Hallberg, who has her show right after ours. And LinkedIn user, I still don't know who you are. Oh, maybe it's Damien. It could be Damien. Damien Kinsey always comes up with the LinkedIn user, so it could be him. All right, so Coach Carey's in the house. Great to see you as well. Thank you for joining us. All right, so let's talk about AI and the human connection, because one of my biggest fears is that when I see someone using AI a lot, I'm always curious, are they hiding behind AI too much? And that's what I think about myself. I don't want people to see and know my AI image or my AI talk. I want them to know Felipe is a human being. I want you to be able to talk about my quirks and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that is interesting is when you ask AI stuff, I always encourage people to remember it's a tool. So my Felipe's 5 are going to be about the post I did with my wonderful dog Copper, who's become very attentively needy during videos. I don't know what's up with him. But it talked about an article that the CEO of LinkedIn had spoken, and CNBC posted about it. And he talked about the 5 skills that right now in today's world, AI is not able to replace. And not only that, young people need to know about that now so they can really hone in on those skills, or upskill, if you will, so that those skills are still valuable. Because right now, think about it. We all have access to AI. Think about how many times our stuff is looking the same. How many people do like an AI cartoon, and all of a sudden you see everyone's AI cartoon, or an AI action figure. There's so many AI things out there, but they're all the same quality, the same feel, the same look. It's not distinguishing anything about us uniquely. And I think that's what we have to remember is, how are we using it? And are we using it to help us, or are we allowing it to replace us? And I think that's one of the things I want to remember. So here are the 5 things, the 5 C's that he shared in the article. So the first one here, Sumana, is curiosity, which I talk about curiosity all the time. It's one of the reasons I wrote the book, because my kids were so curious. But curiosity is not something that AI does. Our curiosity fuels AI with the prompts. So when we're talking about the human connection, one of the skills that is really valuable is asking those probing questions to dig deeper, to learn about somebody. And that's one of the things that I think people like who do interviews, like Leslie Flowers and Jackie Hallberg, when they interview people on the show, they're asking those probing questions. That's something that AI is not going to do. AI is going to ask you a question and say, that was a great answer. Well done. That's really an interesting way of approaching it. We appreciate that. It's going to be agreeable. What are your thoughts about curiosity, Sumana?
This is oh, sorry, I think this is such a good it's funny because I was actually talking about this earlier with someone this afternoon, and I said, isn't it amazing when you can ask curious questions to your like coworkers and your colleagues, and even yeah, when you go for an interview. I think the question was about like being nervous about doing interviews, and I said, if you treat interview like a conversation, and show up with curiosity, wanting to learn about the company and the person that's interviewing you just as much as they want to learn about you, that's might help alleviate the anxiety a little bit. But also, before we go into chat or our Claude or whatever, our Copilot, and start asking questions, we would just walk up to our colleagues and ask a curious question. I think that is such a innate human thing to do, which lately we don't do, because we end up using AI for all of our questions. And I think we're missing out, Felipe, not being able to walk up to our coworkers, to our managers, and just asking curious questions, and being innovative with that sense of curiosity. I know AI is going to help us, validate us, and maybe sometimes gaslight us a little bit, but um, that piece with the human piece, I think, is just so much more enriching. That's where I stand with this one. That's what
I love that. And I'm so glad you brought that up. There's that saying, I think we've all heard it, curiosity killed the cat. Now, because the cat was too curious and got itself into risky situations. Well, I think too much curiosity in AI can be dangerous. And that's why I think, now, don't get me wrong. I know people before AI who are very curious. I had a director that I worked for, and when I did things that she just like, when she saw me do things that she didn't understand, instead of just saying, hey, I'm just curious, why do you do it that way? She would research stuff. And to the point, an example is when I pronounce my full legal name, which is Felipe Gonzalez Cofino. When I say Gonzalez, you hear the TH, the lisp sound. I don't say Gonzalez. Well, because in Spain, that's the way they pronounced it. The TH, the Z is a TH. Well, she didn't understand why I was doing that. So she researched it, found out that apparently there's a king in Spain that had a lisp, and out of respect for him, they pronounced words like he did. So those curious people are still going to exist. My point is that are you going to be curious enough to talk to a human being about something versus just researching it and getting the answer that you think might be right, and it could be. But finding it from the person, you'll find out a lot more about them. All right, the next one here that we're going to talk about, the second C, is courage. Okay, and I talk about that as evaluating risk. I just mentioned that previously about risk. Well, AI doesn't have that way of evaluating. It's going to say things that are agreeable, even if they're risky. So having courage to take a chance, have a calculated risk on how you do things is a human skill that's going to be so valuable in the workplace that during interviews, they're going to ask about, well, how much of a risk are you going to take on this? Or how do you ensure that you're not being too risky? These are questions that people will ask if you're getting into finance, investment, into sales, whatever it might be. So AI is not going to give you the answer, should I negotiate more with this client? No, that's got to be your own courage to be able to do it and evaluate the risk of how far you should push. Sumana, what are your thoughts?
Oh, this is great. And this actually ties into one of the comments that I wanted to make through some of the literature that I was reading to prep for this live. We've talked a lot about upskilling and reskilling in multiple conversations here in Workplace Wellness Hour. There's another concept called de-skilling, especially social de-skilling, which is a big risk as AI automation and the use of AI increases. So basically, social de-skilling, in a very simple kind of a layman's term, is just us basically losing, like the weakening of our very basic interpersonal skills. So because we're not using them as often, and where it's getting replaced by technology, so basic core human skills like empathy, conversations, like curious conversations, navigating conflict, and even having our peer conversations, or peer-led mentorship conversations. All of those, I think that is one of the bigger risks that we're seeing, because what's happening, and I see this every day in corporate, is people aren't using, I guess they don't have the courage. Maybe this fits right into the courage as we talk about social de-skilling. People aren't even using like basic human skills to have feedback conversation, Felipe. They would rather do a Slack message or a Teams message, or even use AI to replace what is it that they were trying to say, because they want to sound like proper or whatever. And it feels like that really simple, like human dialogue that we used to be able to speak. And you said this in the beginning of the show, we've lost the nuances of how we used to communicate, because we all sound the same, and there's no spontaneity, there's no informal interaction. And one of the risks of automation and AI is the fact that we're losing core human skills. So maybe the key takeaway here is I'd like focus people here to think about, how do I keep my core skills with me? How do I still learn to communicate like me, even when you're writing that resume and that cover letter? I don't know what the stance is on cover letter. Maybe people in the DMs, in the chat, can tell me, are people still writing cover letters? But even those resumes and cover letters and basic Teams messages and Slack messages are seemingly so robotic that we don't almost trust our own language skills. And I'm just appalled. I'm like, I went to school, I know how to communicate, I know how to write, but social de-skilling is a risk that I think ties into maybe the courage piece here. That's what I have to say.
Well, absolutely. And that ties in, and it's a great segue into the next one here, which is creativity. All right, inventing new ideas. You gotta realize AI relies on our prompts. Okay? It gives us ideas that we build on. And your creativity is a skill. If you have to rely on AI and Google to be creative, you're not tapping into your creative skills. And that's something that is so important, because there are so many roles that need that creative thinking. We talked about critical thinking. Creative thinking is so crucial, because think about it, if you're problem solving as an HR person or as a manager, maybe you're a nurse or a doctor, you have to get creative when something comes up that was unexpected and you have not had happen before. And so someone that has the ability to show that they are creative in their thinking is so valuable in the workplace and in life. And AI cannot do that for you. Now, what AI can do is enhance your creativity. I have been very transparent about my children's book. I drew a lot of the animals. I cannot draw people to look like the people I want them to. So I took a picture of my daughter and my dog and had them AI cartoonize them. And then I had them take my sketches and cartoonize them to match the same look. That's using it as a tool to take my skill that tops out at sketching. I'm not a cartoonist, but it would help me get it to that next level I needed to. And that's an example of not letting it do it. I still can say proudly, my creative talents are in this book, in the writing, in the drawings, and in the story. So think of it that way. How are you keeping the creativity skill, and how are you developing it, and how are you using it? It might be through art, it might be through problem solving, it might be through just writing. So, Sumana, what are your thoughts?
It's almost like you and I have the same brain. I mean, we've been doing the show for like 93 episodes, so this kind of makes sense. I think this ties in really beautifully to the scientific theory that I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, which I'm sure folks here have probably heard. Directly drives creativity, which is a social determination theory, which talks about sort of the three basic psychological needs that humans need. One of them is feeling that sense of autonomy. Second one is feeling that sense of competence or mastery that I've talked about before. And the third one is relatedness. So all of these things, autonomy, competence, and relatedness, are the foundations of the social determination theory, and they all directly drive creativity. What I actually wanted to hone in on just for this conversation is just the concept of relatedness, because I think what we're talking about human connection, Felipe, and I feel like with relatedness, we all, I feel like we as humans, we all need to feel some sort of, I mean, we show up to the show every other Monday night, and there's a sense of community here, a sense of camaraderie and support, but we all want to feel connected and valued and supported by others. So in the workplace, from the workplace well-being perspective, if I don't feel like I can ask questions about or have creative ideas in the workplace, or if I feel like I don't feel included in certain meetings, or if I feel like I'm outside of the conversation, or I just don't feel comfortable asking questions or sharing my creative ideas or inventing new ideas because there's that lack of, say, psychological safety in the work environment, this is also going to be fueled by automation and AI. So I know I actually love automation. I want to optimize everything. But from the literature that I'm reading, and going back to sort of this relatedness concept, so I feel like we should be okay kind of loosening the rein a little bit on saying maybe we don't need to optimize everything. Let those new ideas come in, allow people to have those check-ins with the managers and have like little moments. And I don't know how this fits in, Felipe, you can chime in, but I don't know how this fits in with having like onboarding a little bit more personal. I don't even think we do that anymore. I think our onboarding is all just like online, and there's no human connection. There's no moments of like, hi, I'd like to meet you and show you to your desk, or I don't know what that even sounds like anymore. So as much as I love like automated systems, I feel like if we don't have relatedness, we're kind of missing out on those like spontaneous micro moments in recruitment. And I know that's not my forte, but even after recruitment, in retention. So that's all I have to say for that piece there.
All right. Well, that was powerful. And Joe Perez, I did put the link to the YouTube. If anyone's having any LinkedIn glitches, feel free to jump over to YouTube channel, because there you can pause, rewind, and fast forward. So, no, I definitely think that onboarding is a huge opportunity to make sure that we are staying connected at the human level. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna lie. I like being able to send all their new hire paperwork electronically, have them fill it out, send it back, and have AI kind of walk them through it and call me if they have questions, so that when they meet in person, that's where I really am building on that human connection. Because during the recruiting process, we built on it during the interview, during the hiring. When it comes to paperwork, there's opportunities where AI can help us a little bit streamline it, and I think they appreciate it too. But when they come and on board in person, don't stick them in a room by themselves and watch a video. People need to be there to walk them through that first day, especially that first day, if not even the first week. All right, our next one here, and I'd love that. So I asked everyone here about which one did they think is their strongest skill so far between creativity, courage, and curiosity. And so I love that people are sharing their thoughts there. We are going to put the link in very shortly. But the next one here, real quick, number 4, is compassion, empathizing with others. All right. Now, one thing about AI that I like to do is I like to tell AI, take on a stance of someone that's going to poke holes through this idea that I'm going to propose to you. And I want you to be very, not argumentative, but just very detailed and play devil's advocate. That's not compassion. That's just brainstorming. Now, fair warning: the story could be triggering to some, so it does involve mental health and a child and suicide. So I just want to warn you people ahead of time that there was a news story not more than maybe 5 or 6 months ago. It talked about how a boy was talking to AI a lot, and the parents noticed it was having more and more conversations, and the boy was sharing what he was doing, but then the boy started getting quiet, and the parents weren't asking that many more questions, but they were still noticing something was wrong. And long story short, unfortunately, is that the boy did take his own life. Okay. And it was unfortunate. When they researched it, they found that the AI was basically telling him how the best way to do it. Now, not that sounds, shouldn't say it that way. It was when the boy was asking, if I were to attempt to do this, which one would be the best one, A, B, or C? And it would give him answers. I think I'm going to use this one. And it would answer, that's a great decision. So it wasn't didn't have anything in there to have compassion to warn them, hey, this person might have mental illness. This should be hey, you need to seek out professional help. There have been some things put in place since then that do alert mental health professionals, suicide hotlines, things of that sort, if people are starting to do that, which is a step in the right direction. But here's the thing. If you need help of any kind of compassion that is serious enough where it's affecting you physically or mentally, please see a doctor. See a medical professional. Simone and I speak all the time about how we share about wellness, but we are not medical professionals. And if you need professional medical advice, please seek out some. We are giving you workplace advice. It is not professional medical advice. Same with AI. So I'll stop there because I know that's a lot. It weighs a lot on people, but I wanted to share that because AI can be that agreeable and it's dangerous. So it does not have empathy. Sumana?
Yeah, no, it doesn't have empathy. And I think I'll just add the piece that I wanted to share, which may tie into compassion, which we've talked about on our Jetty Wellness blog. A lot of these concepts actually have been researched and are reinforced in our blogs. But there's a very important concept called, maybe relates to compassion, is high quality connections. I call them HQCs, but having those meaningful interactions with people that are compassionate, people where you feel like you feel heard, you feel respected, and you feel energized. Not those formal one-on-ones that you have because your boss needs to have them with you, but actual, like, moments of connection and presence. This HQC, this concept, has been shown in research to, not just help with empathy, but also increase safety, psychological safety, energy, engagement in the workplace, and kind of create that, just like how we have here in Workplace Wellness Hour, that strengthening of social support at work, so that we feel like we are a part of something bigger. When I always say this to individuals that are struggling in the workplace, and they say, oh, I want to quit my job, or I feel like I want to, they might have a dramatic decision that they want to make because they had many moments of bad days. And I always say to them, okay, go find your high quality connections, find three people, and run this idea by three of your high quality connections. This is not, ChatGPT is not one of them. You've got to find three people who have those relational skills I talked about. And they can give you some good advice, and if they all give you similar advice, and then we can kind of talk about, is this the right decision for you? So don't rely on one system. Talk to three or four or five if you have high quality connections, so that where we don't risk losing that social support system. And I can't stress enough that relation, the relatedness, and that relational human skill, this isn't soft anymore. I really feel like this is something we need to be designing and upskilling. Maybe that's the better word to use. So yeah, I love this one, Felipe. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and these are skills. Look, in this world now with AI and with a lack of emotional intelligence in other areas of the world, I'll say, or in areas of the world, these skills are going to become and stand out more and more. And you're talking about the workplace and compassion. Doing that cookie cutter, like Greg Liverpool mentioned, cookie cutter onboarding is not going to work. Manager check-ins that are cookie cutters, you have to actually care. One of the most powerful things I did is twice a year, I invite my employees to meet with me for 15 minutes about anything they want to talk about. No agenda on my part. And they can talk up to half hour or longer if they need to. Those conversations, I learned more about them personally. We connected. And when I left that company, they said that they had a closer connection with me just from those conversations than they have with their own managers sometimes. So that's where the managers, if you just get to know people, not only will you tap into their strengths and skills, you'll get to know them as a human being and you'll be able to understand them so much better. All right, our last one here, and then we're going to invite some people up here. Communication, turning language into shared meaning. Communication, AI is not going to call you up and ask you how you're doing. Okay, AI is not necessarily a communicator. Okay, you use AI to communicate as a tool, but it's not going to, at least not today, reach out to you automatically. Now, our Apple Watches might tell us to stand up, yes, but that's not effective communication. And when we do effective communication, and what I mean by effective communication is communicating to understand the other person, not just to get your point across. We're so eager to be heard that we forget to listen to the others. And I think if we start off with listening to the other person when we do speak, we're so much more likely to be heard. And I think that's an important thing to do, because sometimes we will repeat ourselves over and over again with the same message saying, why am I not being heard? Well, because maybe they're not feeling heard. And that's an important thing. So Anna, what are your thoughts?
This is perfect. I love this. This is perfect. I think this is probably also one of the last things that I wanted to share with respect to communication and finding a structure with communication so that we're not feeling isolated. I know AI tends to, and this was the whole conversation about human connection, is AI can sway us, agree with us maybe too much, or maybe be too critical of our decisions sometimes. So the AI companion, like I said earlier, the high quality connection cannot be AI. It has to be a human being. So the structure that I wanted to kind of reinforce, I've shared this before on Workplace Wellness Hour, with respect to how do I design relational human skills as a leader. One of the easiest way you can structure this connection, you can structure these conversations and communication strategies through a prescription framework. I say prescription because I feel like social connection almost needs to be like a prescription now. We almost have to tell people, leave your phones behind and go socially connect. But the structure is frequency, intensity, time, and type. So it stands for FIT. Frequency is just leaders and folks like Felipe, HR folks, anyone who's having any kind of conversations with your staff, junior or senior. Frequency would be how meaningful am I having these moments with my team, and intensity would be, are these just surface level conversations, or is it just like what Felipe said, anything's welcome? Yes, I can give you 15 minutes, but if you want to talk longer, that's okay. Time is realizing, like, do we have that protected connection in our calendar for these invitations, and we're not going to use Slack and Teams to communicate. We're actually going to communicate face to face or over Zoom or Teams. And type would be, am I looking for more of a mentorship conversation? Am I looking for a more advice driven or peer driven or collaboration conversation? Do I just want to go for a walk and just vent a little bit? So frequency, intensity, time, and type, I think would be a great tool for anybody who wants to have communication but it struggles with that. I'm going to stick the blog in the chat here if you want to go look at it. There was a couple, this is from not many years ago, but over a year ago when we wrote this piece of content, but I think it's still very relevant today. So that's it, Felipe.
I did put in the FIT acronym in the chat there for people, but definitely put the link for the newsletter so that people can access it easily. Before we go to our guests on stage, I do want to real quickly, some final thoughts that I wanted people to think about is AI. I said before, as a medical doctor, your wellness should be the priority, and only you can do that. You use AI as a tool to enhance your well-being, meaning when you have AI save you time, use that time to focus on well-being, not just more work. And that goes into 4, time saved should be well used. And then research what you use AI for, review it, and revise it, because it's not Perfect. So, with that being said, I love all the comments in here. It's great to see some other people join us. Who did I see join us just a second ago? Um, People went over to YouTube, but I saw somebody. Who was it that jumped in here a second ago? That snuck in. All right. Well, I'll find out and I'll come back. But with that being said, let's bring up our first guest, Gregory Liverpool. Gregory, what are your thoughts about AI and the human connection? Over to you, my friend.
Yes, from a hot and humid Winnipeg, Manitoba, it's around 26 degrees, which is around in the 70s right now. This topic of discussion, what is, I don't know if you choose this conversation in due taste, because a certain breaking news article broke today from the Vatican that the American Pope Leo made an edict which was 40 something thousand words, multiple pages. Talked about this type of discussion in due time in regards to the use of AI. He basically raised up in a nutshell that it should be either A, which he would love to have, is disbarred, or B, which is the more softer option, heavily regulated, a heavy regulated tool. He cites that this tool can basically cause a lot of job losses, can basically create negative effects on humanity, and it can and it can spread misinformation, such as the never-ending wars that we are seeing across our globe here. So that's why I will say that it can be used as a tool, but I think I will say the first American Pope and the first Pope in the North American hemisphere kind of kind of was right and put the hammer on nailed the hammer on the head, nail on the hammer type of thing on this particular issue, that we need to have very heavy government regulations, and that's something I have been saying on this program, on numerous programs on LinkedIn, and in my writing. So I'm happy that I have one of the most powerful people in the globe on my side on this particular conversation top.
Well, and I agree with you. Where I think Pope Leo definitely has been very adamant that there has to be robust regulation because it cannot replace humanity as a whole, obviously, and that we have to be very careful. I'll say even like as much as I may not respect some of the things that people have done in the past, we have some people that are leaders in AI who are even saying we need some more robust regulations around this. Is getting out of control. So I think even, and that was months ago. So I do think that people are saying it. It's about when people actually take action and do more of it. Now, again, are there more guardrails around mental health and suicide? Yes, but it took an accident to happen. Let's be proactive, and I think that's where we're really calling out to the leaderships of these AI companies to say, what are you doing for humanity to protect them, not just to advance technology? Samana, your thoughts?
No, I actually hadn't read that article. So I just Googled it, but I think I'll keep this brief. I think this is perfect. It connects exactly to what the science was saying about social de-skilling, right? I think if we spend too much time with artificial intelligence and remove all of those human connection pieces, the interactions that we have from work, from life, I think we're just going to get weaker as a society, and our social support skills are going to become weaker. So that's about all I have to say for that. Thank you, Greg.
All right. Well, that's let's get on to our next guest. And again, I'll put the link one more time in the chat in case any of you want to come up. We have about 14 minutes left. But Bill, hello, sir. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. What are your thoughts about AI and the human connection?
Well, you know that I'm gonna be a little bit different than most. I've always been a part of emerging growth technology, and I've always worked in emerging growth businesses. So my claim to fame was online dating. And when I started that in 2000, all of my friends were like, "Do people really meet online? Is that really a thing?" And then you fast forward 25 years later, and that's the only way people meet, or that's the largest way people meet. Let's put it that way. Um, when I look at how I do things versus how my daughters do things, my daughters are 34. I am older than that. So I'm driving in my car and I say,
I hope so.
I'm driving in my car and I asked my daughter, I said, make a reservation for Prime 112. And she doesn't do anything. And I get kind of not upset, but we're on the highway, we're going there. And I'm like, make a reservation. She's like, I already did. She didn't pick up the phone. She just pressed 3 buttons and did it. So, what we need to think about as we're looking at AI as a technology is that we're just at the beginning. And I remember in the beginning working at Teleflora, billion-dollar company, and email had just been announced. And what they decided to do was to bury their customer service phone line and have everyone respond through email because that was the latest and greatest technology. That blew up in their face because we weren't ready for that. And when I say we, what I mean by that is people that are of a certain age. But now, today, 25 years later, no one wants to call a customer service department. Most people are going to try to text in or chat in or email. And email is even becoming this basically snail mail. So as I look at I do think we need regulations. But when I look at the regulations, I'm thinking about someone's image. The fact that you can take Gregory Liverpool and have him say anything that you want, that needs to be regulated. But as far as business is concerned, to think that we're going to suppress this wave, the wave has already taken off. So I think the right thing to try to understand is how do we build from where we are? Understand the product is not officially ready yet and prepare everyone beneath us to skill up so that they understand how to be the operators of this technology. I think I said the other day, I'm working on a new business and I have an assistant. His name is Dougie. I'm telling Dougie everything I need him to do. And we get into arguments every day because Dougie keeps hallucinating. So he's not fixed yet, but that's no different than me mentoring a 25-year-old in a business. I'm done.
Okay. All right. Well, and you brought up some really good points there, Bill. And first of all, I will say that I will still call customer service as long as anyone like Christy Williams answers, because if I'm going to get great customer service like she provides, I will happily call and talk to a person.
You
But
and I will, but will your daughters?
you know what? My daughter will. She actually, when she was calling the bank about stuff, she was calling the people. She was going through AI, which she could have done through the chat on the website. And she's only 24, and I'm definitely older than her. So, but you make a great point because here's the reality. Just like anything, I think it's all about moderation. What does moderation look for you? It might be uh, including AI into 20% of your life, or maybe it's 60% of your life. I don't know. But when we go all in anything in life, that tends to be bad. too much wine, too much chocolate, too much candy, too much vegetables, you're going to have some negative impacts. Too much AI is the same thing. And I think to Bill's point, if we're not actually understanding and learning about it, of how you can incorporate it into your life, you are going to be missing out and falling behind other people, especially in the workplace, because we are very close to having AI as a requirement on your resume as you would Microsoft Office skills. I don't know anybody that does not put down that they are familiar with Microsoft Office nowadays. I can't tell you the last time I did not see that on a resume. AI is now becoming just as frequent, and it's only going to increase.
I think I
I think I
told you,
told you,
Felipe,
Felipe,
that
that
in an
in an
interview,
interview,
someone
someone
asked
asked
me,
me,
what
what
tool do I
tool do I
use for
use for workflow
flows?
flows?
And I said, PowerPoint and Gamma, and I rattled off all this stuff. And he was like, "You can't make a workflow through those tools." And I said, "Yeah, you can." And then I recognized, or he recognized, that we were talking about two different things. And when he said making workflows, he meant how many AI agents could I create to do multiple tasks to save time at work?
Which,
And
And
I was
I
like,
was like,
okay.
okay.
And I went
And I
out
went
and
out
built
and
that
built that
agent.
agent.
and I think that's where a lot of people, everyone's at different levels, y'all, and no one's here to judge because everyone's learning at the speed that they want to learn at. But AI is more than just that initial search window where you put in your prompt. Like, there's AI agents, there's deep research, there's for image creation. There's so much that you can do. Now, careful when you give it access to things like you don't want to give access to your LinkedIn because that violates LinkedIn's agreement. But other avenues, I'll tell you, I tested it. I tested it for my job search. I connected it to my Indeed, and I wanted to see how far I would go. It When I said I want to find jobs with this type of title in this location with this kind of pay, and I want to have applications ready to fill out and cover letters. 15 minutes later, it came back and it had all of it done for me. And I told it, let me proofread anything before you send it. Now, I didn't use it to send anything out, but it was pretty decent. It would have saved me hours of work. And one day I may end up using that. And that might be the way of going and doing things because that is going to save time. I mean, are you going to go out and saw a tree down with a handsaw when you have a chainsaw in the shed? Probably not. So I want to encourage people, try it. Unless you have a lifestyle, you want to live a simplistic lifestyle, and you don't want to deal with technology, I respect that. That's fine. And also, the biggest issue that no one's brought up yet, which I was waiting to see if anyone had brought up, and someone I'm curious about your thoughts on this, is the impact on the environment. That is actually
That's a big one.
That's the number one reason that I found out. The lowest amount of users of AI are females under the age of 35, which shocked me because I assumed that younger generations were all using AI, and their biggest complaint is the impact on the environment. Samana, what are your thoughts?
You know, I don't have I haven't been thinking about that as much, but I did want to I loved what Bill you said. And I've been reflecting a lot on even processes myself. I'm very process driven human. I want to optimize workflows. I want to ensure that there's efficiency, that we're not losing time doing mundane, redundant processes in our workflow that is going to cost us more money ultimately for the business. But I've been asking myself this question a lot, like and I think I was trying to comment, but I didn't finish commenting. But at what point, like, what is the cost of optimizing everything? I mean, I sometimes will text or sometimes call because sometimes I just want to speak to a human who can understand me. And I don't want to optimize everything, but I feel like when it comes to wellness, sometimes hearing a human being's like voice can help us like regulate our nervous system a little bit and feel that sense of social support that we need. So I've been sort of battling this. It's this, I don't know how much optimization and how much efficiency is too much efficiency, and are we losing out on that relatedness piece and the human piece that we need to feel something. I
You,
don't think AI can make us feel anything.
you
Felipe,
know
wasn't that the
some
original?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
and I
go
think,
ahead.
and I
Yeah.
think that's definitely going to be the biggest thing that it's probably going to get darker and worse before it gets better. And what I mean by that is that people are starting to start using AI to the point where that human connection is going to be missing, and all of a sudden companies could be scrambling and saying, "Oh my gosh, we need a chief people officer, a chief human being officer, whatever it is. It's not
right.
human resources; it's human being officer." And that's going to be something that I think people are going to be gravitating towards in the future. Is companies that are actually having human beings reach out, engage, showing them because
That's happening now.
well, yes. I mean, no, no. I'm saying is it's going to get worse with AI before people understand the value of it. I think because right now people are discovering it, but they're still not making the right decisions to correct it. People are laying off thousands of people because they want to use AI. They're having issues, but they're not bringing the people back as fast as they should.
Right.
And so there's a lot of opportunity out there. Welcome to Daniel Hall in the chat. Daniel, I know, talks a lot about AI and AI on LinkedIn and bots. The one thing I will say that with AI, think of it this way: we are not ready for complete automation because how many of you in the chat tell me right now, yes or no, would you get into a AI automated car, a self-driving car? Right now, that was a taxi or you Uber
I
without a human
did.
being in it. And how comfortable would you be? They're out there, they exist. So let me know in
Right.
the chat, would you get in one? So Bill, you got in one. Were you excited about it?
I got in a wave in Los Angeles, and it was great. And then when I was in LA, I drove my mother-in-law's Tesla to the airport, and I just put it on auto drive.
Well, that's different though. And auto drive is I look, Tesla's I've been around for a while. My
Yeah.
thing is more about
I've been
not
back.
having a human being in the car. The day may come where it might be safer for a car to drive you than a human being because they're not going to get distracted or be sick or under the weather. But we're not there today. Now, I will tell you something that, I read this about a month ago and I saw a news report about it. There are already a number of trucking companies that have the self-driving trucks where they're transporting loads of, it might be groceries, it might be lumber, whatever, and they're only doing it overnight. And it has saved them a lot of time. They have had reduced accidents, and it is something that's already happening. And so that is something that I think we have to realize that as much as we want to push back against AI, instead of pushing back against something that's already here, let's figure out how to make it worth our while to make sure that we are not letting it take over, but making sure that we can find ways to enhance our wellness and take breaks from AI just like we would any technology. Sumana, we're at the top of the hour. Any final thoughts you wanted to share?
No, I think we covered a lot. Thank you, folks, for joining. This has been very enlightening. I've appreciated, oh my goodness, all of the comments. And I guess my final piece would be, yeah, just focus on those high quality connections. Use a good framework if you're needing a structure, and maybe ask yourself, like, at what point am I overdoing it? At what point is optimization too much, and is it costing me the human connection that I need? I'm really good at it. Like, I'm really good at having that sense of awareness, leaving my phone behind, detoxing, I go off the grid more times than I can think of. I delete social media for days and weeks on end, and I get back to doing things that I love. So maybe the last final message for your well-being and human connection is kind of what I did over the weekend. Is, I went on a hike with my friends, got to experience the beautiful Rocky Mountains. So doing things that allow you to be with the people that you love and care about, without the need for any kind of AI and technology, because you don't need that. You know how to get up the mountain, you know how to get down the mountain. Let's keep it simple. That's about all from me, folks. Thank you so much.
I love that. And I want to highlight something that Charles Caldwell shared when I was talking about the AI and about applications. He brings up a good point. I said I tried it out. I wanted to see how it looked and everything, but I didn't actually send them out. He mentions here that there's tech and companies side detecting AI applications, and when they detect them and are received, they are automatically dropped. So that's an encouragement for you not to let AI replace you. Now, if you, I know people use them for cover letters. I know they do. I know that people have used them for messaging to me as a recruiter because the messaging is almost identical. If you're going to use it for your cover letters, update it, revise it, and customize the first paragraph. At the very least, rewrite it in your own words so that you can really make sure that they see that you are a human being. Because if they don't see it, their AI technology might see it, to Charles's point. All right, so listen, everyone. This has been an amazing conversation. I thank you to everyone who's been here. Tom Cullen, welcome. It's great to see you there. Gregory, thank you for coming up. Bill, thank you for coming up. You both provided such great, valuable insight. I love a lot of the no's and hell no's about getting into a self-driving car. Look, I'll be honest. If I was at a bar and I couldn't drive and I wanted to get home and a self-driving car pulled up, I would probably get in it. I won't lie. I'd be a little nervous, but I'd try it and see. Now, would I do it for a long trip? No, I don't think so. But to get home, maybe. But thank you all for joining us here, Gregory and Corinne and Kenny and Daniel Hall and Joe Perez and Tech Wise Dude. I don't know if that's you, Bill, or not. I'm not sure, but it might be. Charles and Jay, and who else are we missing here? A lot of people, Leslie Flowers and people that came up earlier. Thank you all for being here. You all and the community that you all are make this such a valuable thing for Swan and I, and we appreciate you. So if you have topics you want us to cover, let us know, because we're always looking to tackle relevant topics. We want to make sure that we are providing you relevant information and having conversations that hopefully give you some takeaways that you can use. But Sumana, what
I
final
was
thoughts?
I just wanted to say two things. One is, I think, Felipe, we only do another 2 more episodes for June, right? Because we typically take a break in July and August. So I think we're going to be live on the 8th of June and then the 22nd of June. So there's only 2 episodes left, and then we're taking a summer break, which we typically do for July and August. The only thing that's coming up for me is my monthly blog, which will be released next Wednesday, and then I also do, so the first Wednesday of every month we release a new blog, and then the Wednesday after that, the second Wednesday of every month, I go live on LinkedIn for about 15 to 30 minutes and share some of that research more in real time. So that's all that's coming up for me for June. But is that still what's happening with our show, Felipe?
Yeah. So that will be, we will hit our 95th show, and then we will take our summer break, which is only like 2 months, y'all. We're not going that long. and then we come back in around mid-September, and it will be 5 shows that will probably lead us right into the holidays, and we will celebrate our 100th episode basically into the holiday season.
That is amazing.
I can't wait. And Joe Perez, thank you for letting me know that you are a Tech Wise Dude on YouTube. And as always, just a quick reminder, if you're not following or have you not checked out Sumana's website, Jetty Wellness, do me a favor. Here's a QR code. Take out your phones, scan it, or screenshot your phone if you can't do it because you're on your phone. And check out her website. She provides such great insights. There's newsletters, there's articles, there's links to videos. It's such a valuable resource if wellness is a priority, which if you're here today, I hope that's why one of the reasons you're here is because wellness is a priority for you. And a reminder, Kafina Consulting on LinkedIn, and the webpage is coming soon. And then, of course, the YouTube page, if you want to follow me there, that's where you can see all our past episodes and learn all about the other shows I do here as well. So thank you all for joining us. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and we look forward to seeing you. And take care, stay safe, and as always, be confident, be curious, be grateful, be compassionate, and be tenacious because you got this. Sumana, thank you again for being such an amazing co-host and friend. I appreciate you every day.
I do
And
too.
I hope
Thank you,
you-
Felipe.
Thank you. And I hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll see you all soon, everyone. Have a great
Bye.
United, together here we stand. Savannah and feel it, pay your workplace wellness, our band.
Where culture meets health and wisdom takes hold. Fresh perspectives and insights unfold.
Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage, and elevate your game.
Wellness that works puts growth
In the frame.
mental clarity, physical strength,
Financial inside.
tools and strategies that get it right. Real stories, real growth, real change that lasts.
Practical guidance that moves you fast.
Workplace wellness hour brings substance and spark. Together we flourish.
Together we make your mark. Building stronger teams, brighter paths ahead. A workplace where passion and purpose are fed. Join us, engage, and elevate your game. Wellness that works puts growth
In the frame,
So mark your calendar, answer the call.
workplace wellness, practical magic for all.